If you know how to trace paper and you have Photoshop, this tutorial is definitely for you. Here's a view of the finished product.
Oh, I think so. Oh, I think so.
I'm going to be using a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet. You don't have to use the Wacom Intuos Pro necessarily. If you have a mouse, that's completely fine. But I prefer the Wacom Intuos Pro because it gives me more freedom and it's more natural movement and it makes the illustrations come out far much better. But that's just my opinion. Having said that, we're going to dive in. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is go into Photoshop. Open that up. Then we're going to create a new custom size. You could choose whatever you want. It's up to you. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to choose this one. Hit create. And once you get in, this is what it's going to look like somewhat. If you need help finding the create video timeline, what you want to do is go to window and then go down to timeline and hit that, and it should come up. This is what you're going to need to make this work. Once you have the background, got the lock icon on it so it doesn't change, create video timeline. Now you have layer 0. This right here is going to be your base layer. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. The reason why I did this is because the end product is going to be on this base layer right here. So anything you trace, the end product is going to be on a white background. You can switch it if you want to a black background, but then the tracing would have to be done in white. Something's going to have to stand out. So you got to figure that out on your own. Alright, so we're going to get to the next thing. The next thing we have to do is open up a new layer. So you go to layer, you go to video layers, and then you go to new blank layer. This layer, layer number 1, is going to be your tracing layer. So this is your trace layer, number 1, and then 0 is your base layer, where all the whole product is, the whole end result is going to be on layer 0. So what you want to do is create one more layer, and then this layer right here, go to video layer, new layer from file. This layer right here is going to be the layer in which you trace from. So whatever you've recorded and saved to your hard drive or wherever you saved it, and you want to turn that into the animation, that's what this layer is. So I've got layer 2, layer 1, and 0. Alright, and then I want layer 1 to be above layer 2. That way, whatever I trace, I'm basically tracing this video file, basically, on a piece of paper that you can't really see. Then what I'm going to want to do is click on layer 2, and what I'm going to hit Command T because I want to bring my image, my video file, in a more proper area so that I could trace it properly. So I'm going to hit Command T to transform, and this is going to pop up. You have to convert it into a smart layer, smart object layer, so that you can move it around and everything like that. So good thing about Photoshop is it has these things to tell you right when your stuff is perfectly centered. I got a nice crosshair. I'm going to hit check, and I'm going to hit play real quick so you can see.
Oh, I think so.
Alright, that's what I'm going to animate. So you basically hit this timeline, scrub it back to 0. Another important thing to practice, remember, and implement is the fact that you have to go frame by frame. And in my situation, it's going to be frame by frame, 1 second at a time. So what you got to do to make every layer that you trace 1 second, you click and drag all the way back till it's smallest, right? And then once you scale it up down here, you will see that from 0 to 1 is 1 frame, okay? So that's something you have to do. Every time you make a new layer, this is what you have to do. Don't worry about layer 2, and don't worry about layer 0. What you have to focus on is layer 1 being 1 second at a time, alright? So with that, what we're going to do, grab my pen. What we're going to do here is, you can see this little dot that it has right here. Uh, First thing I'm going to do is zoom in. So now I could scale in to have a more detailed picture that I'm going to trace over. Then I'm going to press spacebar and drag up so I can see what's going on. Now I'm just going to go ahead and trace. Pardon my tracing for the sake of the tutorial. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you want yours to be perfect, so be it, make it perfect. I'm not going to make it perfect, this is just a tutorial so that you'll know what's going on. That's just messed up right there, but whatever. No, I can't do it. Let's start over. So you go ahead and trace. Trace and trace and trace. I have to do the hairs on the beard perfectly. I'm left-handed, so it's a little weird. Still getting used to the pro. Again, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm doing this. It's not going to be perfect. Just want you to get an idea of what it is I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and how it should look and feel as you're doing it. So I'm going to go over this part, that, do a little bit of an eyebrow. And the good part about this is it could look like you've been drawing for at least 10 to 15 years. I mean, Photoshop is really good for allowing the user uh, so many outlets, so many options and opportunities to create beautiful content. Me myself, I don't know how to draw whatsoever. So, yeah, this is amazing. Look at this in-depth detail. This is, I mean, artists practice for years before they master their craft. I'm not even a novice, and I could do way better than this if I really wanted to focus. Eyelashes, eyelashes. Go, mustache, mustache. The reason why I'm doing this frame by frame and 24 frames per second is because I want to know everything there is to know about film, animation, so on and so forth, because someday I want to become a prestigious film director, and for me, in order to do that, I need to know in detail all areas, all platforms, how to do it, what to do in order to make it look its best. So animation is definitely, for me, a requirement and something that I need to know uh, going into film. And there you have it for the first frame. I know it's not the best, but again, for the sake of this tutorial, this is the outcome. So I'm going to turn off this layer, and there you have it. Oh, I forgot the eyeballs. Like I said before, this is not the best. This is just a little rough draft, speed through, whatever you want to call it. Turn off layer 2. And look at that. I mean, I could do way better than that, so can you if you spend more time and watch your strokes and wrist movements more. And it could be way better than that. But this is just an example. Okay? And then once you finish tracing the first frame, if you move from 0 to 1 is one frame, from 1 to 2 is another frame, but we haven't established any drawing, and we haven't established another layer. So what we're going to have to do is establish a layer first. Go to Layer, Video Layer, and a new blank video layer. And you drag that right after the first frame that you've done. Then what you want to do is pull this layer all the way back, because you want one frame per second, one second per frame. And so when you draw it back up from 1 to 2 frames, or from 1 to 2 is 1 second. Okay? So make sure you tap on this, and layer 3 is now highlighted, and you repeat the process. And it's as simple as that. I know I just don't have enough patience to make it perfect. Plus how I'm sitting is just not helping me. I'm going to do one more frame after this, just so it's done enough for you to actually look at it and see. Plus I need to charge my laptop. Jeez, this is terrible. But you get the idea. Okay. I should have did was get to the part where I actually started moving in the frame, because it really does take a lot of time to get some type of movement, a lot of tracing. I mean, you have a chance to become so intimate in detail with your illustrations. It's not even funny. If you have the patience and time, you could trace over each and every hair or each and every detail in the video file to make it even more realistic, except for it'll be an animation. And it really propels you, you know, as far as your experience and your presentations. Like I said before, I have no artistic experience and background whatsoever, yet and still I find some way, somehow, to get my visions to become reality. And more over the eyeballs, eyelashes, eyelash. And I believe that's it for this. I just want to animate my head and face. And yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that's what it looks like. Let's see. So from 0 to 1, 1 to 2. So those are the first 2 frames. And if you keep going and going as the video progresses, you can kind of see how your animation is going to eventually look. So from 0 to 1, of course right here you would have to draw another one. So you would have to create another layer, go to video layers, new blank video layer. Then you would scale down so that you could find the tail of this layer, bring it all the way in, then scale back up so that it's 1 second exactly, from 2 to 3. And from frame 2 to frame 3, it's going to look like whatever you trace. So again, it'll be a repeating process of this, this, and this. Just keep going, be persistent, and be patient, although I didn't display that this time. Once you're done with your animation, what you can go ahead and do is go to File, and then you go to Export. Once you're at Export, it's going to give you an option to render video like that. Once you render your video, you have all these options to choose from. Title it, select the folder that you want to save it to, and In this instance, it'll be to my desktop. If you want to save it for a presentation on YouTube, H.264 is the proper format. Frame rate says 30 frames per second. You could change that to 24 in my case. You could put it to 30 or 60 or whatever you want it to be. Range, start frame from 0, and the end frame would be however long the animation is. So you have to play with this timeline until you see where the animation ends. Input that right there, click render, and the end result would be a video format on your desktop. Alright, so, and there you have it.
I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description. And remember, learn, film, repeat. God bless.